Hey, everybody, welcome to the program. We just opened the room and I see a bunch of people are coming in. So as you're coming in, let me say welcome to the program today. My name is Sarah Bryant. I'm the VP of Corporate Development at dbaPlatform, where it's our mission to get you found. As you know, dbaPlatform also includes the local Falcon tool, the original map grid tracking tool. And today we're going to be talking about the recent changes to what we used to call GMB, and now I have to get used to calling it GBP, GBP, or just the business profile, formerly known as Google My Business. So we're going to talk about those recent changes like we always do in our monthly webinar. And then our topic today is the Vicinity update analysis. People have been chattering online, talking about some recent updates that have affected local SEO. Jan's going to take us through a bunch of examples and show us exactly all the changes and visuals, how all your location profiles are showing up now. And then we're going to have an awesome Q&A session. And of course, you're here because you know how important the map listings are. We put these webinars on every month for our SEOs to get really, really detailed in the local SEO world, make all your locations optimized, make it so that you're found, get those impressions. And as you know, local is becoming the thing that really Google looks at. So this time we're going to explore this Vicinity update analysis. We're going to take all your questions. And right now would be a good time to take a look at your Zoom controls, and you're going to want to find your question and answer section. It's a little different than the chat, so make sure you find the question and answer section. As Jan takes us through the material that he's prepared today, you may have some questions about your own profiles, the profiles that you manage, or just general local SEO questions, and you can pop them into the Q&A. Other people will also be popping questions in that you can see, and you can vote on these questions. At the end of the prepared material, I'll read through the questions, the most popular, the upvoted ones first, and we'll get through as many of those questions as we can in the hour that we have. Now, a lot of you have been here before and have seen the program and know who Jan Gilbert is. For those of you who don't, let me just give a brief introduction for Jan, he's my favorite webinar speaker. And he also is the guy who mans the private Facebook group that we use at dbaPlatform to answer questions and dig into details. So a lot of people know him. He is extremely well regarded in the SEO world, and he is primarily an expert in local SEO. He is one of only a handful of Google Platinum product experts in the world. He meets with Google all the time to get the inside scoop. He is the originator, the founder, the maker of Local Falcon, which is the premier grid tracking tool that SEOs like you use to understand how your locations are performing and whether they're optimized and how to optimize them better. So join me in welcoming Jan, who will take us through some Vicinity update analysis and some recent, GMB, GBP changes, something like that.
Sure.
I feel a little like Big Bird.
I know nobody likes to say that.
Yeah, how Big Bird spoke the alphabet.
Yes. So I always like to start with the category changes, because those are super important, right? It could really boost you up ranking wise really quickly if there's a new category and your competitors don't have it and you choose it, right? So in this month we have a dumpster rental service and a space of remembrance. So in this was back in November, because last month there wasn't any. They had funeral celebrant service and the vehicle wrapping service. So it looks like they added a couple like funeral type things the last 2 months. Dumpster rental service, that's pretty important because that's a really, really competitive space. I know by the amount of spam that's always in there. So if any of your clients have our dumpster rental service, then make sure and update your categories. So the Vicinity update, so that's probably why most of the people are here today. So just to go back, in case some people don't know, the Vicinity update was a huge maps update, and there hasn't been one for at least 3-4 years this big. And so, and it got confirmed by Google. Usually Google doesn't really confirm maps updates. So they did, and it was the first week in December, basically, and they confirmed it a week later in the middle of December. So we were not happy. The SEOs were not happy because it was right before Christmas, and we're like, some people were, I even saw some tweets like, should I take vacation or should I do analysis? So it was frustrating to have it right at that time. But now we're a month later, and so here are some results that I'm going to present to you. There's been a couple articles written out about what people think that it has been. And just one quick last thing is that when Google rolls out algorithm updates, these things are global. They affect everyone the same. Can you imagine if Google had different algorithms for each country? It wouldn't make sense. So when they do something, it affects the whole ecosystem, the whole world of Google. So we've seen this new 3-pack design everywhere, where there's a larger map on the right-hand side. A few, like, the images are a little bit larger too, and so, you know, images are more important. The map seems to be more important. Just want to show you that the old style, which is on the right here, is still actually displaying. So I did this search yesterday when I was putting together these screenshots. So sometimes you're still going to see the old style, depending on what kind of search you do. So sometimes if you add, like in local, if you put like furniture store, sometimes if you put a plural or no plural, like furniture or furnitures, you're going to get different results. And why hasn't Google shifted all the way over, like everything? I'm not sure, but you will sometimes see the old map. I don't think it affects the rankings, but you'll just see the old style of display, at least. And here's another example where, you know, some of these seem really the same to me, right? Plumbing supply store shows the new, and plumbing store shows the old. So
Hey, Jan, I know earlier
yeah.
today we were talking about these changes and whether or not they're global. And Alan just asked a question because he said he is not seeing the new 3-pack style in the UK yet.
Okay.
Do you
So
know?
when I was talking about the global, I'm talking about more the algorithm that's returning the listings. The display, they're always playing around. They're always, so the way Google does is they'll test in a smaller market something new and see, because there's no sandbox in Google, so they can't like test things. They have to actually pick a space or a certain category of business, and they'll test that way. So there's always sometimes differences when they're testing. So they're rolling out to different countries slowly, but in display wise, but the algorithm wise is usually when they say it's done everywhere.
Well, and Nathan just jumped in and said he is seeing it in the UK, but not often. So a lot of it could be those searches like plural or just little keywords that it's not across the board showing up everywhere yet. And then Ruben asked, when you say the images are more important, you probably mean they're more prominent in that, you know, you can see them. They're the first thing that you see now in this new display. But he's asking, when you say the images are more important, do you mean the quality or the size or both?
Right. So let's say more prominent. So sorry, I wasn't specific enough. So more prominent in the sense that, you know, if we look at these two images here, we have the same picture of this Noble and the Wosley Plumbing. Even though they're two different pictures, the images are a little bit bigger, right? They're a little bit more prominent in your face. You're looking at the image, and then here's all the details of the information right next to the image, as opposed to it's more of a distance. We didn't really have to see the picture next to the name and the reviews and all that stuff. So it's more, it's more important in that sense, more prominent in that sense. All right. So let's talk about what changed for ranking, right? We know the display has changed, but what changed for ranking? So if other people have checked, you know, articles and seen what people are talking about. So Mike Blumenthal mentioned at one point that maybe the viewport changed. So the viewport, basically he's talking about, well, the map changed, right? The map size changed. So maybe now different businesses are getting pulled in because the map is bigger or smaller, right? So that's the viewport that he was talking about. Proximity is more important. Some people are saying, well, it's called a vicinity update for a reason. Joy Hawkins at Sterling Sky basically named this, and everyone went along with it. So the vicinity update is because the proximity has been impacted to some level. A lot of people are saying that keywords in the business name is less important now. So like all the keyword stuffing. It is, but I'm going to show you with data why I put that asterisk there. And then the reviews, I'm just going to say reviews seem to be more important, and I have data. Again, what I'm presenting to you is I'm just not guessing here. I'm going to show you why I think these things, and you could either say, no, I don't think so, or I have data like refuting that, but I'm going to show you my data and why I'm making decisions. Now, and I pulled some examples. I have lots of other, I spent all day yesterday looking for examples and data. So here is a search, and it's bed bug removal. We have our before and after. So basically we have our October search or November search, and then our January search. And there's a few things here that I want to call to attention. So one, you can see the map zoom level is drastically different, right? So we have before we have a really zoomed in map, whereas in after, that part is just this small area. Okay, so the map is really zoomed out now. We also have keywords in the business name over here, right? We have bedbug exterminator, so these three businesses have a lot of overlap in their business name. Whereas in the new 3-pack, we just have that first one, and then we have two other more branded, they don't have those keyword stuffed names, if you will. And if you notice that the one that stayed there is the one with over 1,000 reviews, whereas the other ones, if I just roll back here, didn't have as many, right? 10%, 0.5, 5% of the reviews of the first one. And then the newer ones have more. Now we have 500 reviews here. So something that we'll talk about later on. So I just want to, again, go to the map zoom level, because in the previous one we just saw, the map zoomed out really far. I found an example here where we have flower delivery near me and flower store. We have the new display, we have the old display. But even though the search queries are different, I have the same 3 stores, right? I have the same Flowers and Things, Cassidy's, and Blooming Willies, same 3 stores. And you'll see that if I highlight, the newer map is bigger, but we're not zoomed in more, right? So if you look at like the 2 hospitals here, they're about the same distance away. So the map is bigger, there's more space to show, but the zoom level is the same. And so, and I have other examples that I checked, but basically what I'm saying is here is that it's not the zoom level that is affecting which businesses get chosen. It's the other way, right? The cause and effect. It's the businesses get chosen by the algorithm, and then Google is then adjusting the map to make a good perspective of the businesses that it already chose. So it's not anything to do with the map zoom level. The zoom level comes after, okay? So let's kind of disregard the zoom level. So those were with non-location based queries. So let's look at Toronto Exterminator. And we have the similar businesses as before. We have our before and after, and we'll see that in this case, the zoom level went way in, right? We have our before, which is zoomed out, and now our new, we're zoomed in. And so basically what we've done with adding the word Toronto or any location is you're forcing Google, you're telling Google to really narrow its focus. Now it did that before, but not to this extent. So it seems like it really narrowed the focus closer to the center of where that location is. So in this case, it's Toronto. So we determine what the location of Toronto, the center of Toronto is, according to Google, right? According to Google, the center that we type Toronto in Google, we have this outline highlighted. Now, that one looked a little bit weird to me because the center of this kind of rectangular area would be around here. But in our search, we're way down here. So I looked at the Google's outline of downtown Toronto, which is much, much closer. And if we go back to, and I'll come back to that part, if we go back to the center of Toronto, it's really, really close to the center of where this map is, right? If I come back, the way to find out, you could do a Google search, like we could do a Google search downtown Toronto, any location, and Google will draw the red lines around it. But what you can also do, some shapes are not rectangular or square like this. Sometimes you'll have like a New Orleans, which is like really crooked, weird, and stuff like that, right? So where's the middle? Where does Google think the middle is? And what you do is you come to, there's a little one weird trick, one of those things. You come into Local Falcon and you can actually search like a place in Local Falcon. So any place on the map has a place ID. So an ocean, a statue, a city has a place ID. We can like search for that in, like add it as a location in Local Falcon. And then when you bring up the map grid, now you can't really do a search because it doesn't make sense. You're not going to do a search for it like any with a keyword, but just when you bring up the grid, it'll center you on where Google's telling you is the center of that location, right? So if I did downtown Toronto, it'll tell me the center is right here, which is here, right? In this case, for some reason, Google said Toronto is the middle of downtown Toronto. So it likes to center you at downtown.
Yeah,
so that's just a way. Go ahead.
The centering that you're talking about, is this new or changed? What changed?
No, that always worked. So what's new is that Google is taking into account when you type in like Toronto exterminator, what it's done is it's chosen the center. So now it's saying this is the center of Toronto. Let's show businesses really close to that area. Because it's assuming that because you, yeah.
Does that mean that businesses that are closer to that center are gonna get preferential treatment, proximity wise?
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was always the case before, but now it's really, and I think this is something that might change where it's a little bit too strong, because I've seen people complaining about it. Like I'm searching for something in, a big place, and it's really just only showing me downtown locations. So Google might change this, but right now is if you're at the centroid of a location, if your listing has been verified at the centroid of near the centroid, you're going to get preference in location type queries. Now, that making sense?
Yeah, Andy asked, so seeing a bigger difference in implicit and explicit queries.
Yeah, and there's a difference. I don't have all the math. I didn't want to go through it, but if you're in the location, Google will zoom in more. If you're not in that location, so let's say I have relatives in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not in Fort Lauderdale, and I type in like flower delivery because I want to send it to them. Flower delivery Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to get a different result than if someone was in Fort Lauderdale and typed flower delivery Fort Lauderdale. So there's a difference between if you're in the location, Google's going to zoom in a lot more than if you're away from the, and it's not every single time. It depends on how big the city is or the town is, but in general, you're going to get different results. The importance here is that it seems to be more important to be closer to the center.
So would you say, like, if in the past, if you had said like flower delivery in Tampa and you're in, Toronto, probably the name of the business, so if it said like Tampa florist, it'd be more likely to come up. And now it's really more location driven than keyword driven when you're making those explicit searches.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, you can say that the proximity has been turned up compared to the keyword. And we're going to talk about the keywords here because it's not like a straightforward thing.
Yeah, and it's probably not something you can do much about, but it's just good to know as you're seeing these shifts around this month.
Yeah,
that's why.
Well, we figure out why things rank. So it's we can't do anything about it unless you're opening a new location or something, and you want to make that put that in your decision. But we have to almost exclude that when we're looking at, okay, now we know that's a factor, so now we can take into account when we're looking at other things. So I'm just going to jump and explain this thing called maps filtering in case people don't know. So this is an algorithmic filter where Google it likes to show a variety of listings. So it won't show all the listings in one location because it wants to show different locations. So the example here is I have my really, my map is really zoomed in. There's only one building here. I think I'm in Chicago, really zoomed in. And they're all PI lawyer, so personal injury lawyer. And I'm zoomed in as close as I could be, and you'll see 5 results right here, 5. And they're all from the same address, right? They're all this one building that I'm zoomed on, 55 West Monroe Street. But I know there's more lawyers in that building, right? So if I do PI lawyer, and then I type in the search, right, 55 West Monroe Street, now I've forced Google to say, hey, no, really, I really want from this building. And you'll see here that now it's showing me 9 lawyers. So what it's done in the first search is that it filtered out, it didn't even show me those 4 other people, right? Those 4 other listings, not for any reason. It's not like they're not relevant or anything. They're there, right? They're lawyers, they're there in that building. I'm right at that, I'm standing right outside of it. Why didn't you show it? Because Google won't show certain listings. So it's going to choose, for whatever reason, it's going to choose the more prominent, the ones with more reviews, or whatever, the ones with the better websites, things like that. And so the idea here is that Google will filter out, right? This is called a proximity filter. It'll filter out when listings have the same location. And when I say same location, and could mean it could mean across the street. So within a couple hundred yards, so of the location, and the same primary category. So listings with the same location, the same primary category will get, sometimes some of them will not be shown whatsoever because there's someone else that's bumping them off. Okay, I want to give you an example here where I have 2 searches, and this is just a GIF running. So flower delivery near me, and we have a flower delivery, and you'll see that this middle listing here, this spot here, changes from Cassidy's Flowers to Simply Flowers. But if you look at the address, it's the same address. If you look at the map, you'll see when it starts to shift, it's right there. It's the same address. So something probably, I didn't look it up, but probably what happened is that there's a flower shop there. It closed down, a new flower shop came, opened up. And so, but the old listing didn't get marked as closed. So now Google thinks that there's 2 businesses, the same business category at the same place. And Google doesn't like to show that kind of thing through the filter. And it's going to flip flop. It's going to flip. So sometimes it's going to show one, sometimes it's going to show the other. Okay. And so when we look at a map scan in Local Falcon, if you've ever seen scans like this, when you're looking at your scans, so what the heck is going on? My Local Falcon is completely broken. That's not right. This is an example of a duplicate coming. So Google there's 2 listings. Sometimes it's showing one and it's ranking well, but sometimes it's not showing it and it's completely off the map, right?
So this is like,
yeah.
This is like for Simply Flowers, because it's showing up on some searches and not at all on others. This is what that looks like. When Google's using the filtering to leave some listings completely off, is this filtering? Is this a new element? Because it used to be, you'd just be ranked 1 through whatever, and you could clearly see that. But now if it's filtering, that means it's like every other time it's leaving you out. Then this is what it looks like.
The proximity filter existed. This has been there for years. This is the proximity filter that I'm still explaining. That's existed for a long time. And that's why it's important to double check for duplicate listings. Sometimes you don't know, like if you don't see scans like this, but sometimes there'll be a duplicate listing or a listing that's bumping you off, that's a competitor that's stronger than you across the street or something. And then why am I not ranking? Why am I not showing at all? It's because Google is choosing that one and hiding yours. And so, this is all the same keyword. This would be a search for all the same keyword, but the algorithm it's kind of like it's coming in, it's making a decision. Oh, we see 2 businesses. Which one do I pick? I'm not going to pick both of them. I'm only going to pick one. Sometimes it's picking one, sometimes it's picking the other, because there's variability built into the algorithm. So whatever decisions it's making, sometimes it chooses one, sometimes it chooses the other, but you're going to see a scan. So just keep that in mind because it's going to come back in our keyword. So we're going to talk about the keywords now, keywords and name and profile name. So everyone is saying, oh, keywords don't count for as much. Keywords and business, the spammy keyword names, they've all dropped, they're all gone, or they're going down, they don't count as much. So what I did is I have scans running, and this is over a year, because it's my area, right? I have a listing that I test on, SEO Toronto. What I've done in Local Falcon is I've chosen a few companies here that have SEO. The search was for SEO Toronto, but you'll see I have 5 businesses here that have SEO Toronto in their business. There's even a listing that's just called SEO Toronto, and we're going to look at that. So, but if keywords in the business name were demoted, right? If the ranking dial was down, then you would see all the businesses that have the keywords in the business name go down. But that's not the fact. We have the first one, right, which is the master SEO, stayed up the whole time and didn't really move. We have this one, SEO Toronto. This is the November update right here, the Vicinity update here, crashed along with Kent and SEO Nerds. But we have SEO Toronto Code Media, the blue one, going up. They're all keyword stuffed, right? And how come some went down, one went up, and one stayed the same? So it's not quite as simple as keywords in the business name don't work as much. It's more complex than that, right? So let's take a look at SEO Toronto. This is the listing. You can see it's not very robust. It has a good website, but it's a secondary listing. I mean, it kind of looks fake, but that's not the point. The point is that the scan before the algorithm update, right? So this is a scan before, it was in October around here, was mostly, it was ranking well. It was getting super powered because it had SEO Toronto as the name, and that was the search, right? Now, after the update, you can see the scan looks odd. It looks really strange. And you'll notice that, the listing is located around here. So here's your normal pattern, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, right? All this area. Then after that, now there's 4 and 20 and 2 and 20. What's going on? Well, this looks a lot like the proximity filter. So what I'm saying here is that the keyword in business name, they're getting compared, and Google is making a decision. So we have 5 listings with the SEO Toronto in it. Google is picking 1 or 2 and demoting the rest. It's filtering out the rest because they're too similar. Just like in the proximity filter, we have same business category, too close to each other. Let's only pick one of them. Well, now we have.
So you're saying that it used to be if they were at the same address, we would see things like that with the filter. But now this filter is being applied to these like sort of keyword names too.
Yeah, I'm saying the proximity filter still exists, but I'm saying Google is using that same concept and made another filter, has created another filter. So now we're getting these weird jumpy scans because the algorithm is coming in. Should we rank it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, we'll rank it at number 4 because the keyword still counts. It shouldn't rank 150 miles away from its location, right? There's no way it should rank this far. This is a scan of 150 miles. So it's either picking it or not picking it, but when it's picking it, it stays strong. So the keywords in the name are still counting, but you have to be picked for you to count, okay? So I'm just gonna, here's our little summary here. So the name filter, as opposed to the proximity filter, is triggering when listings have the same general area. So you're the same service or market, the same primary category, and a similar business name. So too many overlapping words, which happens when you keyword stuff. Everyone's keyword stuffing the same words. So now your business names are too similar.
I might be jumping the gun here, but yeah. Giacomo asked, is there a tactic to make one the preferred one?
At this point, it's just the prominence factor. So more backlinks and your website doing well. I found something that I'm going to investigate a little bit more, but I don't have a 100% do this besides general optimization.
Sherry asked, She wonders how many SEO Toronto businesses there are.
There's a bunch.
Are they all yours, Jan?
No, I don't even, there's so much spam in Toronto for SEO. It's incredible. Years ago, I used to try to fix it and I said, screw that. I don't even get any business out of that. My listing is for testing, right? So it's not an issue for me, but I would get super pissed if I was a real business and it was like that. I would get super pissed.
Sherry also brought up a point, which is if you have a situation, she's talking about for the proximity filter. If you have practitioners that work out of the same office, so like that would be the thing with the lawyer, which happens in downtown buildings where you have a bunch of lawyers and you're trying to optimize one of those listings, you can try selecting a different primary category that might help from, it might help from being filtered off of the searches.
Yeah, so that's it. So if you change the primary category, then the filter won't apply anymore. So that's a strategy that we do for one of those advanced strategies when you're looking at things to try to get more coverage for different categories, dentists, and if you have lots of dentists and office lawyers or real estate agents, there's certain categories of businesses that we will want to use that tactic to get more coverage area. So let's come back here. So here's our master SEO, and yes, they actually do have the emoji in the business name that Google doesn't care about. And it's been there for a while. So let's just look. So again, we have the SEO Toronto and all of them. So just a reminder that when people just say blanket statements on the internet, hey, keywords in the business name seem like they don't count anymore. The algorithm is getting more complex, and it's never one simple thing, right? It's never one simple thing anymore. We have to look at the data, and that's why I'm presenting you the data, just because I want to make sure that you understand that I'm giving you information based off of data, not just I think, or I've seen one example by kind of thing. So why would some go down? Well, one went up with the same keyword stuff business name, right? So it's not just a demotion. So let's look at other things, because if one goes up, to me that's like, oh, what can I learn? What are they doing that made their business go up while everyone went down, right? So this is two of the listings that went down. This is one of the listings that went up. So right off the bat, very easy to see is the reviews, right? So the two that went down have 2 and 3 reviews, and the one that went up has a lot of reviews. If I go back up here, the one that stayed the same has 23 Google reviews. The one that went up had 37 reviews. When that went down, had 2. So, okay, I said, well, that's interesting. Let's look a little bit more globally. Let's not just pick one, and let's just compare a little bit more of the attributes here. So we'll look at these attributes here. And so master SEO is the one that stayed the same. Code media is the one that went up. And then these 3 went down in red. And so we're looking at the reviews. Then I looked at how, when was their newest review? Look how many images they have on their GMB listing. Are they showing their address or not? Are they SAB or not? I looked at their backlinks, and I looked at their websites to see were they optimized well. So in that case, like they all had SEO Toronto in the page title. They all have SEO Toronto in the content of their homepage. They had multiple pages. Their websites seem pretty like robust and normal websites, right? And so if we look at it, to me, this is what stands out the most. The reviews, right? Why did this one go up? Well, the reviews are the differentiator between this one and these 3. The recency of the review, not that it's that great, but 3 months compared to the other ones is newer, right? So that's newer. It has less, images. This doesn't matter. Now, the backlinks also seem to be an indication where it has a lot of backlinks, like the one that stayed number 1 has a lot of backlinks. The difference was that Ed Kent here had a lot of backlinks to the homepage, but this listing in particular wasn't associated with the homepage. It was linking to an internal page, and that internal page only had 500 backlinks. So something might be going on there. So I'm looking at backlinks. The problem is that backlinks means they're doing SEO, right? So if you're getting backlinks, you're probably optimizing elsewhere, right? You can't just isolate that because they're doing other things. Same thing with the reviews. If you're constantly getting reviews, that means you're outreaching, you're proactive with your listing. There might be other things that you're doing, but we're just looking here. But on the surface, it looks like reviews are doing. And I did check other listings, and I don't have them here, but there's other listings that have gotten a bunch of reviews recent, like since the update or right before the update, and they're doing well as also. So I'm just saying it straight out that reviews are more of a factor at this point. So we'll go through our conclusions a bit here. So adding a location to a search focuses the results to the center of that location. Like we discussed with Sarah, you can't really do much about that, unless you're opening a new listing and you're trying to pick a location where a new business is going to be. And that might change. That's one of those things that I think Google can change very easily. So I wouldn't say, oh, now we have to get a business like listing right at the centroid to get those, those explicit location searches. Because I think if that dialed up too high, I think Google can change that fairly easily. So I wouldn't bank on that staying too much.
Yeah, that one seems like kind of a broad change that they're going to dial in, because Google, above all things, they really want to promote the right solution for the search query, and having them be weighted towards the center of like a zip code or a town or whatever. That's not going to make sense in the long term. So I imagine that is going to change.
Yeah, I've seen some complaints on Twitter. It's like, hey, I'm looking for business and all you're showing me is downtown, but the city's bigger than just downtown, right? I've seen a lot of complaints. When they're going to change it, or maybe they're changing it in different places or testing it. But that's something that I think they will be playing with, and it won't stay as strong as it is. So keywords in the business name is still a ranking factor. So I just want to get that across. Keywords in the business name is still a ranking factor. However, listings with similar names are compared against each other, and Google is demoting the weaker ones. Just like the proximity filter, now we have a name filter. Okay.
So that's it's almost like a round robin then, where you have like one or two that are clear winners. They are always going to show, which is why on your thing, some stayed across the top. But then the ones that are very similar to each other, now are like round robin. Google's like not going to display it one time, and then it will display it the next time, and then the not, and it just cycles through them. And so you want to get out of that if you can.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem when you're branding. You always want to have a good branding. If you want to put the keywords in your name because that's part of your business name and it helps people, then do so. But then you have to just make sure that you're the better business, right? So all the other things that you want to do is getting reviews and backlinks and optimizing your website. That way Google sees and your citations that you have a good prominence, and Google will reward that. Whereas a spam listing, because the whole point of this demotion of the name as a ranking factor is try to get rid of these brand new listings that, spam listings that just popped up that are exactly the keyword name, but they don't have a good website. They don't have any good reviews. They don't have all those other things. So Google is like, oh, these names are the same. Let's compare other factors now and pick the best one. And so now what's that done is it's gotten rid of a lot of the spam from showing up, right? But it's also gotten rid of some good businesses like lawyers. They all changed their names legitimately. They've actually changed their business names, but now it's almost coming back to hurt them, because now they're going against really other businesses that also have the keywords in the name. And Google's like, well, these two law firms have 4 out of the 5 words are the same. We're going to pick one, and so now you're out. So you have to, it's hard. So it's an individual thing. You have to go one by one and see, did it really affect your business? So let's talk about the reviews. So the reviews that I'm saying are, it's not a new ranking factor. It's always been there, but I think that has been increased, and it makes sense because 2 months ago, and Sherry, if it was Sherry Bonelli in the chat there, Sherry,
it is Sherry. Sherry is one of our advisory board members, and she's another SEO expert. So if you see her comments in the question and answer, she's got some good insights in there too.
Yeah.
And when she jokes, I mention it.
She'll confirm with me that in the Google support forum last month, 2 months ago, there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of people coming into the forum saying, I'm missing reviews. I'm missing reviews. I'm missing reviews. People left me a review. They're not showing up on my listing. Or I had 100 reviews and now I only have 70. So Google, a few months back, was doing a lot of work with the review filter. They were trying to make the data integrity of reviews better. So now what I think has happened is that now Google is more confident that the reviews are good. They've increased that as a factor because they have more trust in it. Okay, so let's talk about the reviews, because there's a lot of things about reviews, right? So is it more reviews? Is it the number? Is it how recent they are, right? Which is we compared up top. They had 3 months. The other one was 5 months. Is it the frequency? Is it how fast you're getting them? Is it the engagement? People click on it. Are they reading it? Are they filtering it? Are they, that kind of thing? Is it the keywords is it in the review? And when we look at all those things, is it all of the above compared to your competitors, right? So now I have 10 reviews. The other guy has 2. Google says, well, that guy's better. But if I have 10 and someone has 100, well, now I'm the loser. So it's not the number. It's probably, by itself, it's the comparison. It's always a comparison between you and your competitor. So that is my overall
when you were
Vicinity, my Vicinity update for the webinar. So we can go to questions now. Now I could go back to slides if people want examples of stuff.
Okay, when you were talking about the lawyers changing their names to SEO optimize themselves, which, as a marketing agency, we've done that for people. And Sherry said, just think about the yellow pages. How many businesses are still called AAA auto, AAA towing, because they showed up first in the yellow pages listings. So, people do stuff like that to affect their brand, but it can be short-sighted, to do that.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Now, I have a lot of general questions, Jan, some related to the same questions that we always get and questions that we answer all the time. And then I have some related to certain slides and things. But I'm just going to start with the most popular ones, as I promised, and we'll just shuffle through.
Sure.
Barry asked, with the new changes, what's the best method to increase your geo scope?
So, I mean, it's always been the same thing. It's always been, optimization of your website. And what I'm just saying is that now it seems that reviews dial went higher. So make, and we always say it, we've been saying it for years, get reviews, put something in place to ask your clients, put an email, how was my service? Can you rate me? Give me feedback, that kind of thing. And let's not only talk about the reviews on our GMB listing or our GPB listing. We can also, look for reviews on Facebook or third-party websites. Those count as well, right? Google doesn't ignore, especially like if you're a medical or a restaurant and there's tons of third-party rating sites. Google pulls those into the knowledge panel, and so those count as well. But I didn't analyze that. I just know that it's from the few examples that I showed you, but also a lot of other examples that I looked that I didn't share here, that the reviews are more important than before. So, but all the other stuff, how to increase, is all the same, right?
Okay, Todd asked, I'm a service area business, home inspector, serving a 40-mile radius. I live in a suburb of the main city and I can't get traction in searching for my service in the city. In my industry, that proximity doesn't matter a bit. Any advice?
Yeah, so I didn't present it in this webinar. I'm still testing some stuff because I didn't get a clear definitive result, and I don't want to like start rumors of what might work. But what I would try if I were you is you have a certain number of service area field that you can, I forgot what it is, if it's 10 or 20 now. When you pick in your service areas, use all those fields. So what I like to do is you pick one that is more global. So let's say you have like a whole county, right? You have the whole county, but then within that county, you have lots of towns. So in your service areas, try to like load up the towns or the downtown area that you want to target. And let me go back here and show my screen here. Let me see, just so you could get a visual of what Google thinks is important. I've done it before in the previous webinar, but if you look at Toronto here, let's say I want to get more traction in downtown Toronto. What you do is, here's a named area that Google is showing me: Kensington Market, Trinity Bellwood, right? Harborfront. Those are all places that you can pick as a service area. So not only do I have Toronto or downtown Toronto as a service area, I'm going to pick all these little other sub regions or sub towns or neighborhoods within a region, right? So I'm going to try to really tell Google, yeah, these places are not just the whole one, but all these little places, really specific places. So that's what I would try with your service areas, and use them all up. You have a lot of choices there. So just don't pick, oh, I do Houston, right? No, there's lots of places inside Houston that you can pick. That's what I would do to start. There's something going on with the service areas. I haven't pinned it down, but there's something going on. It's not going to hurt you if you pick more. Let's put it that way.
Here's a related question. Katrina asked, what happens if you're a global company, so wanting to do further reach?
Global. I mean, that's this is local, right? We're talking about local. So are you a big, huge company that has hundreds of listings across, or is it like one? If you're just like, oh, my headquarters and I don't have local listings. So if you just have one headquarters, you're not going to get, right? Maps is for local. It's for people looking for places to go. So you're not going to have one head office ranking everywhere.
Right. The global is going to be organic SEO. Yeah. Unless you have multiple locations and you have a franchise situation, then it gets a little more, you can do syndicated content. The DBA platform actually specializes in that, is managing lots of locations at once if you're an agency or a big brand. But, Google's local SEO is for local companies. So it's going to be tough to break in a local if you have one global headquarters. Yeah. AI Anthony says, I do SEO work for a roofing company in Vancouver, BC. That's British Columbia. I'm getting a whole Canadian mapping lesson today. One valid roofing company is using a virtual office with no signage or staff to have an address close to Google Center downtown for SEO. Another valid roofing company, which is based outside of Vancouver, is using a second address in an apartment building with no signage in downtown Vancouver to get the rankings. Business redressal form with actual photos have not done anything. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I'm disappointed in the way Google is dealing with spam right now. They've been really not on the ball, to be honest. So sometimes you have to report through the redressal form multiple times. So what I'm doing now is I do it twice at least. So you do it once, you wait 3 weeks, nothing happened. Do it again. Try to put more details. If you didn't put as many details the first time, do it again. Now you have those two like ticket numbers that you have. After another few weeks, if nothing happened, go to the Google forum where product experts like me or Sherry and there's a bunch of us we don't work for Google, we volunteer on that forum, and we'll take a look at we have to confirm the information, and then once we say, yeah, okay, that looks fake, that looks like it should have been acted upon, we will escalate that to Google, and then they'll have another team look at it, someone who should pay more attention, right? So that's the last step. Submit it through the user edit, then the redressal form twice, I mean, you could do it once if you feel like it. If you're, you know, if you're really pushing, then with that ticket number, because we can't do anything without that ticket number. Once you have that ticket number, then you can go to the support form and say, hey, I have a ticket number. I'm not getting the support I need. Can someone else look at it, please?
Cool. Do we have a support forum link or anything to send people to that we can put in the chat? Or maybe we can put it in the
No,
Facebook
I
group
didn't
later.
share it with Ryan today. Maybe
Okay.
Ryan has it from the past.
Okay, or we can put it in the Facebook group. Remember to, we'll show you at the end how you can get into our private Facebook group. If you have questions like that, you can always pose them there. And we will drop recordings of webinars and things like that into that Facebook group too. So we'll give you that in a minute. Eddie asks, for a realtor that covers an area like Broward County, is it better to have an address or not, and only add the areas where service is provided? So this is that kind of that big service area question that we get a lot.
So realtors, so it is more complicated than that, because like, do you have a main office? Where's your listing? Is your listing, when you say show it at your, is it at your home? If it's at your home, then if there's no signage, then you're supposed to hide it. If you're at like an office that has signage, then you don't, then you can show the address. But now you're, you know, there's potentially lots of other real estate agents that all have that same primary category that you're competing against. You're competing against your own people, basically, because you're all at the same location, same primary category. So with real estate agents, we have to look at the overall business, and like I'm trending now to saying that it's better to use your home address, because now you're away from everybody else. And so if people are looking for you in that area, choose the service areas that you think are important, but it's always, you know, the rankings radiate out from the verified location. So if you're using your home and it's away from wherever you're off, far away from where you are trying to get the business, that might not be good either. So it's hard to give a you know, a blank, but those are the things that I would consider in that question.
Okay, great. Ian asked, with this recent update, have you seen any correlation with having only a primary category versus having multiple categories on the listing?
I haven't tested that. I don't. Yeah, because that would mean I would have to. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to test things because I don't want to I don't want to undo someone's optimization to test something. It's like, what if I take this away? Will it hurt them, right? So I'm not going to do it. So I have a few listings.
You could use those SEO listings from earlier.
I have, well, no, I don't have I have a couple listings that I do test with, but I never tested taking away a category. It's more trying to add new things is more what I'm doing. But I haven't heard anything about that.
All right. Guillaume asked, for prominency, is Google considering local view of the website or global views nationwide as like a franchise would have? That's an interesting one, because that's one that we're dealing with right now with a grocery chain, right? Where it's one website. And so the question is, does each is it looking at the local, tapping local or national, and should each location have its own website, et cetera?
The question seems to me like it was the traffic to the website.
I think so.
Not coming through the GM, like through the listing, like it just like traffic through the organic. So the amount of people visiting your website, just like through organic or direct, won't impact the listing like on maps at all. Maybe clicking on maps and clicking to the website, that's an engagement, so that gets counted. But I don't think that it'll count global. It's just going to be that one page, and it's going to be the click. It's not the visit to the page that counts. It's really it's the click that's the engagement necessarily. So whatever you're looking at in your analytics could go crazy high because you're running spam to it. It's not going to affect because you're running spam to your website. It's like, the fake clicks. It's not going to affect your maps rankings.
Dylan says, I manage a dentist office in London, Ontario. we have no keywords in our name. Isn't this against Google's policies? It has to reflect the name of the company, but you can still add keywords like Invisalign, veneers, dentist after the name of the business, question marks?
You shouldn't if it's not in your business name. So a lot of because the keyword in business name was so strong, people were like, well, I'll just rebrand my business. I'll make a new sign and put the keywords in my name, stick that sign up on my wall and take a picture of it. Now I've rebranded, and now I have the keywords in my business name legitimately, because Google just wants to see sign. If your signage says it, then you're okay. So, and that's and it got so much to the point where Google said, well, no, we have to do something about it. And this is was their answer. It's like, okay, you guys all want a keyword stuff. Well, now I'm going to pick the best one, and the other ones can go cry.
Michael's asking a service area question. With a service area hidden address listing, what happens with proximity? Is it best to have a storefront listing with a visible address?
Yeah, I hear both. Some people say, oh, well, hiding my address helped me. And then other times, like, I've put my address, visible, and that helped me. So I don't think it's a straight answer that either way, like, it helps. So the proximity issue to the listing, Google knows where you verified it, regardless if you're showing the address or not. Google knows where the postcard went to and address on the listing. And so it's proximity to that location, whether someone publicly can see where it is or not. Interesting.
I didn't think of that. Google knows where you are, whether you hide it or not. So probably this will be the last question. It's a good one. It's different. Ruben asked, in terms of link building, are there different kinds of local links that are performing better than others? Schools versus nonprofits versus local news, et cetera. And I know this has changed because we talked about it recently. And that's a good question. Where should you go to get your local links?
So I haven't done a link. That's a whole nother webinar, right? So I prefer local links, right? Those are the best kind. So links from other businesses in your area, directories in your town, the Chamber of Commerce of your town, that kind of thing. Because not only is it a backlink, it's a localized backlink. It's coming from nearby, right? The best backlink is one really that will get you more customers, more leads, right? So if you get a good mention somewhere on a newspaper, whether it's in a local newspaper, then you're getting people a good backlink that's local to you, plus you're going to get leads from it. So that's the best kind. But there's lots of citations, and you have to put those citations and your name, address, phone number, and all that kind of stuff on the general sites. But after that, you want to do link building for local. And that's outreach. That's the hardest part about link building is the outreach that you have to do, because all the other automatic, the web 2.0s, and I'm going to automatically go on a Fiverr. I'm going to automatically build 50, for spammy backlinks for $5. I've tested those, and yeah, they're not worth anything.
I'm going to ask one more question because it was from Sherry, and it is, can you do local Falcon scans from the past? Like October, she specifically said like October 2021.
No, it's real time. It's whatever's now. But Sherry, if you have something specific to look at, if
we do have a time machine.
Yeah, no, but I have access. If someone in our system has done a scan and covered that keyword with that area, then I can retrieve it from our system. So I can't go back in time. But if someone has done it, not in my account, but in the whole system of local Falcon, then potentially I can find if you're looking to compare something.
Cool. You want to pull up the dbaPlatform slide so we can just show what dbaPlatform can help with in terms of tools. And while you do that, I wanted to tell you that a lot of people in the private chat with Ryan have been saying this has been a really good summary of this Vicinity update, and they really appreciate all the care that went into the insights and advice, and really enjoyed what you did today, Jan. And I want to thank you for providing your expertise every month. If anybody has ideas for webinar topics that we haven't covered lately that you want to hear about, throw them in the chat or the question and answer, or join us at our private Facebook group. Ryan puts that link into the chat throughout the webinar. If you go there now, he is standing by to let you in, so you can ask questions there all the time, and reach us about specific services and things like that. And if I encourage you to try Local Falcon, because it's an amazing insight tool. Not only does it show you where you're ranking for certain keywords, and it also shows what your competitors are doing, and it just gives you the major secret insights into how to improve your listing. And I know when you're a service area business, that can be tough because Google doesn't really, Google doesn't build to optimize for your service area concerns. They're more like sort of the brick and mortar shop type optimizations. But local optimization is so much easier to do than like national organic optimization. And Local Falcon is the way to figure out exactly what to do. And it's inexpensive, really cool tool. Jan invented it. But DBA, continually upgrades it, takes it to the next level, provides bulk reporting, bulk scans, things like that. But dbaPlatform is so much more than that, especially if you are a larger enterprise and you need photo publishing, post publishing, a review responder, dashboards. And the number one thing that we hear over and over, especially from really big businesses, is the reporting features that help make their world go round. So there's lots of things to investigate on the dbaPlatform. It's the ultimate sort of automation tool for local SEO. We don't talk about it on the webinars, but if you want more information about that, see us at the website. We have, salespeople and customer service and other kinds of education for you to help you get started. And we'll see you guys next month for a new webinar. If you have ideas about things that you want to understand better, let us know. And we'll see you then.
Super. Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks.